Hello and welcome, or welcome back to GMC Sports. In today's podcast, we will be discussing whether the Olympics and the Paralympics are global or local media events, and evaluating the various aspects that affect our judgment. Please like, subscribe, and comment any further topics you would like us to discuss. The Olympics and the Paralympic Games are a global celebration of athletes from all over the world, from different countries and different cultures. Athletes representing 203 National Olympic Committees, or NOCs. Approximately 10,500 athletes will compete across 32 sports in 329 events at the Games in Paris. This is a stark contrast to the first Olympic Games, which was hosted in Athens, which had 311 athletes from 13 countries participating. This shows us that though once the Olympic Games may have been a local event, it certainly is not currently. This is portrayed in the most recent Olympic Games in Paris, where the opening ceremony alone attracted a huge audience of over 2.7 million people. Digitalization has impacted the globalization of the Olympics and the Paralympics. Advances in technology and streaming services have allowed consumers to view the Olympics and Paralympics from all over the world, therefore reinforcing that it is indeed a global media event. Social media platforms such as Instagram and YouTube, which is our personal favourite, have aided the globalization of the Olympic Games by pushing content to new audiences who may not have seen the sport before. This increases exposure and future participation. A good example of this is the Turkish shooter, whose cool and collected shooting performance gained worldwide attention and created global conversation around the event. With 6.4 million views and over 6,500 comments. At first impressions, this seems like a significant number, but when compared with the overall viewers from the Olympic Games, it portrays the sheer size of this global competition, with over 3 billion viewers tuning into the Tokyo 2020 Games, which was hosted in Japan. Now, not only are the Olympic and Paralympic Games broadcasted across the world, but they are also hosted across the world. The Olympic Games first started in Athens, Greece, but since then, the competition has globalized, with the Games being hosted in 23 cities and 20 countries. From Australia to the United Kingdom, the Games have quite literally travelled across the globe. The impact that the Olympic Games can have on countries and its cities are profound. The Olympic Games require expensive infrastructure and buildings, such as stadiums or Olympic villages. Infrastructure can be maintained effectively and used for other purposes. An example of this is West Ham United leasing the Olympic Stadium to host their football matches. However, if infrastructure is not maintained correctly, it can produce huge financial loss for hosting countries. A recent example of this is after the 2016 Games in Rio de Janeiro, where the $700 million athlete village was left mostly abandoned. On the other hand, the Olympics and the Paralympics does have several localized aspects to their global event. For example, the Olympic Broadcasting Service, otherwise known as the OBS, will broadcast the Games. Local broadcasters will then use the neutral feed from them and add over their own commentary about the local athletes. I fondly remember watching the London Olympic Games in 2012 at my house in Sheffield. A huge proportion of the commentary was on our local athlete, Jessica Ennis, which reinforces my point. Amusingly, when I asked people outside of Sheffield about Ennis, very few recognised her name, as whilst they were watching the commentary, it would have been tailored towards them. In conclusion, while the Olympics and Paralympics do have localised aspects, whether through commentary, sponsorships, or hosting cities, there is no denying that the Olympic Games are a global media event. The sheer scale of viewership alongside participants alone reinforces that the Olympic Games transcend borders and unites nations in celebration of athletic excellence. The digitalization of sports and the rise of social media platforms has further led to the globalization of the Olympic Games. Alright guys, thank you for tuning in, and as always, we would love to hear your thoughts. Do you see the Olympics as a global or a local media event? Or do you see it as a mix of both? Please leave your comments below guys, and don't forget to like, subscribe and share.